Clara Wynne begins her shift before sunrise. The diner is dim, the air stale. Denise scolds her the moment she ties her apron, saying she never satisfies the customers. Clara nods without protest. A man at the counter slams his hand, shouting his coffee is cold. Denise glares at Clara, waiting for her to fix it. She apologizes, replaces the cup, and forces a small smile. The insult burns, but she holds it in. Her hands shake as she clears the table, pretending not to hear the laughter behind her. In the corner, a silent man watches. His clothes are worn, his face tired, his eyes steady. He does not order, does not complain. He simply observes. Clara doesn't notice him yet. She only knows the weight of another day, beginning with humiliation she cannot fight back against. Clara bends down when no one is watching. Her shoe has split at the seam, a thin line of water seeping in from the morning rain. She pulls her foot back, quickly hiding the damage before Denise can notice. A regular customer, older, kind-eyed, greets her with a nod. He slips a crumpled dollar onto the counter, grinning as if it were gold. Clara thanks him with a soft voice, her gratitude heavier than the coin jar in her kitchen. For a brief moment, warmth settles over her shoulders. Then Denise passes by, her voice cutting like a blade. All that effort, and what do you get? A single dollar. Clara forces a smile, though her cheeks ache. The older man waves goodbye, leaving Clara standing with a hollow mix of comfort and shame. One spark of kindness instantly smothered. The hours crawl. Customers trickle in slowly, the rhythm uneven, the air heavy with grease. Clara moves from table to table without rest. Troy leans against the wall, pretending to check the order slips, but his hands stay empty. He leaves plates for Clara, muttering excuses about being too busy with the kitchen. Sweat clings to her neck as she rushes between Booth's arms stacked with dishes. Denise appears frowning at the smallest delay. You don't know teamwork, she snaps, pointing at Clara as if Troy's absence were her fault. Clara swallows the protest rising in her throat. She nods and keeps moving, carrying trays that feel heavier with each step. The injustice lingers like smoke. Every glare, every false accusation adds another stone to her back. But Clara remains silent, trapped between exhaustion and obedience, unable to defend herself. When the shift ends, Clara drags herself home. The apartment greets her with silence. She opens the fridge, empty shelves stare back. Bills pile on the counter, each envelope marked urgent. She doesn't touch them, only stacks them higher. At the table rests a framed photograph of her mother smiling from years ago. Clara pulls out a chair and sits, eyes fixed on the picture. Her shoulders slump, her chest tightens. She whispers into the quiet, I'm still trying, Mom. I haven't given up. The words hang in the air, fragile but steady. Around her the room feels colder, thinner, smaller than ever. Yet that whispered promise is all she has. Loneliness presses against the walls, but Clara grips the edge of the table and breathes as if her mother's voice might answer back. The next morning brings an unusual rush. Customers fill the booths, menus, scattered voices rising. Clara moves from table to table without pause, sweat dampening her collar. Plates stack in her arms, cups rattle on trays, orders blur together. Troy disappears into the storeroom, leaving her to carry the weight of the floor alone. She glances once toward the door, hoping he might return, but the doorway stays empty. Complaints grow louder. A man slams his palm against the table, demanding service. Another calls for a refill she cannot reach in time. Clara hurries breathless, but each step feels slower. Denise emerges, lips tight, eyes sharp. Instead of noticing Troy's absence, she points straight at Clara. You're falling behind again, she snaps. The sting is sharper than the noise around her. Surrounded by anger, Clara is pushed deeper into exhaustion, blamed for failings that are not hers, left to carry everything alone. Amid the chaos, one customer leans back with a smirk. When Clara sets down his bill, he flicks a few coins and a crumpled note onto the table, sending them clattering across the surface. The money scatters onto the floor. Clara bends quickly, her fingers trembling as she gathers it piece by piece. She whispers a quiet thank you, forcing her lips to shape the words, though her face burns. In the corner, the man in the worn coat, silent watching, studies her carefully. His eyes soften for a moment, the hint of sorrow breaking through his stillness. Clara straightens, holding the coins tightly, and repeats, "Thank you, sir." Denise passes by, shakes her head, and mutters, just loud enough, "Pathetic." Clara swallows the words, keeps her posture steady, and turns to the next table. Humiliated, yet she refuses to let bitterness harden her. Even in the face of cruelty, her kindness does not falter. When the rush subsides, Clara slips behind the counter. She pulls her wallet from her apron, opening it with tired hands. Inside lies a single bill, $10, creased and worn. She stares at it, weighing its worth. It could fill her gas tank just enough to reach work for 2 more days. It could buy a small bag of groceries, maybe soup to last through the week. Either choice feels fragile, neither enough to steady her. She exhales long and heavy and tucks the bill deep into her pocket as though hiding a secret. 2 more days, she murmurs to herself. Across the room, the quiet man sits near the window. His gaze lowered his presence unnoticed by others. His silence feels deliberate, as if he already knows the weight of what she hides. In Clara's pocket, the $10 presses against her hand like both a burden and a lifeline. The morning ends with Denise gathering the staff at the counter. Her tone sharpens as she waves the day's register slip. "Numbers are down again," she says, eyes sweeping the room. Then she pauses, letting the silence press down. "Someone here is dragging this place under." Her glance lingers on Clara, though no name is spoken. Clara lowers her head, her throat tight, unwilling to fight back. Troy leans against the doorway, a smirk cutting across his face, enjoying the spectacle. His grin grows wider when Clara says nothing, only gripping the tray in her hands. The room stills customers, sensing the tension, but Denise continues her words, a blade wrapped in velvet. If standards don't change, consequences will. Clara nods without lifting her gaze. The accusation hangs heavy in the air, unfinished, unanswered. No proof is needed. Suspicion has already chosen its target. Later in the day, the older regular returns. His gait is slow, his smile warm, his presence steady amid the storm. He greets Clara with a gentle nod, then says softly, "You remind me of your mother. Kind no matter what." The words land deep. Clara's eyes sting as she thanks him, her voice barely steady. He presses a few coins into her palm as if they mattered more than gold, then leaves quietly. For a moment, warmth flickers, fragile but real. Yet Denise has seen it. She leans toward Troy, whispering with a sneer, "Imagine wasting time on that old man. Worthless." Troy chuckles under his breath. Clara hears every word, though she keeps her back straight and her lips sealed. The kindness she just received collides with the contempt she cannot escape. For Clara, the small affirmation becomes fuel to endure, though the echo of mockery cuts just as deep. Near closing, Clara balances a tray of water glasses weaving through the crowded floor. A restless customer swings his arm, colliding with her shoulder. The tray tips, water splashes across the table, and glasses scatter, one shattering at her feet. The man rises, shouting, his face twisted in anger. His words slice through the room, humiliating her in front of everyone. Clara stammers apologies, crouching to pick up shards with shaking hands. Denise rushes forward, but not to defend. "Clara, you're careless," she declares loudly, her scorn aimed as much at the customers as at Clara herself. The room falls quiet, waiting. Clara bows her head, whispering apology after apology, voice breaking. In the corner, the man in the ragged coat takes a slow sip from his glass. His silence is steady, his eyes unreadable. The moment leaves Clara exposed her dignity, stripped her kindness tested in the harshest light. In the kitchen, Troy accidentally tips a plate, sending food across the floor. He steps back with exaggerated surprise, arms raised. Denise appears within seconds, eyes falling not on him but on Clara. "Clean it up," she orders, her voice flat final. Clara drops to her knees, rag in hand, wiping grease and sauce while the sting of humiliation builds in her chest. Tears slip down before she can stop them mixing with the mess she scrubs away. Troy stands above her, smirking. "That's your job, isn't it?" he sneers, enjoying her silence. She says nothing, her hands moving faster, her back aching under the weight of shame. Outside, the man in the corner holds his chipped mug. His knuckles whiten around the handle jaw, set eyes locked on the scene unfolding. He does not move, not yet. But his silence carries a pressure of its own. The cruelty is no longer hidden. It's systematic. When the shift ends, Clara counts her tips with tired hands. The coins and crumpled bills barely cover a meal. She counts again, slower this time. A few dollars are missing. Her chest tightens. She looks toward Troy, who is laughing with another server, his pockets bulging. Clara doesn't speak. The truth is obvious but unprovable. She folds the small pile in her palm, the gap in it heavier than the money itself. Denise passes by, catching the look on her face. "If you can't keep track of what you earn, don't bother complaining," she says, voice sharp with disdain. Clara swallows hard, blinking fast, fighting the tears threatening to fall in public. She tucks the remaining bills into her apron, turns toward the door, and leaves without another word. The night air meets her with a chill harsher than usual. It feels like the world has taken once again more than it gave. The next day, Clara notices the man in the corner again. His presence is quiet, almost invisible, yet constant. He hasn't ordered more than a cup of coffee. She approaches pot in hand and gently tops up his cup. "This one's on me," she murmurs as though sharing a secret. He lifts his eyes, briefly gives the smallest nod, and lowers his gaze again. No protest, no thanks, only silence. Clara reaches into her apron, fingers brushing the last bill she owns. $10 folded neatly, worn thin. She slips it into the cashier's hand, whispering, "For him." Her chest feels tight as she steps away, as if the bill had been part of her. The man lifts the mug, slowly cupping it like something precious. Around them, the diner buzzes with noise, but for Clara, the world narrows to a choice she can't undo, giving away her last $10. Denise sees Clara hand the bill to the cashier. She says nothing, but her pen scratches across a small notepad, marking the moment as evidence. Clara doesn't notice. She moves from table to table, wiping surfaces with quick, weary hands. Her back aches, her arms tremble, yet she keeps going. When she finally glances to the corner, the seat is empty, the chipped mug abandoned, a ring of coffee staining the table. Her chest tightens. The man has vanished as quietly as he came. She lets out a long breath, half relief, half regret. Night falls before she leaves. The diner is dark, her steps heavy as she crosses the parking lot. The car coughs once, twice, then dies. She tries again, but the tank is empty. She leans against the wheel, eyes closed, breath shaking. Alone in the cold, she realizes she's reached the edge of what she can endure. The next morning, Denise summons Clara to the office. The door shuts with a thud, the space cramped and stifling. Denise doesn't waste time. "You took money from this place. For that vagrant." Her words are sharp, deliberate. Clara's lips part, but her voice fails. She shakes her head, whispers, "No, Troy," steps in before she can continue. "I saw her. She slipped the money herself." His tone is smug, his lie practiced. Clara's throat burns. She searches Denise's face, hoping for doubt, but finds only cold certainty. "This won't stay quiet," Denise warns. "The owner will hear. I'll see to it." The weight of her words pins Clara in place. She nods faintly, not in agreement, but in surrender. For the first time, she feels her job slipping through her hands, along with the small dignity she's fought to keep. After the confrontation, Clara escapes into the storage room. The air smells of dust and oil. A single bulb flickers above, buzzing with each surge of current. She sinks onto a crate, burying her face in her hands. Her shoulders shake as she tries to stifle the sobs. Every breath feels heavy, like the room is pressing inward. Her fingers tremble against her cheeks, nails digging into her palms. She whispers through her tears, words broken, inaudible even to herself. Beyond the cracked door, a shadow lingers. The man from the corner stands silent, his gaze fixed on her. Through the narrow gap, he sees her collapse in solitude. His jaw tightens, his eyes close for a moment, as though carrying the weight of her pain. In that silence, a decision begins to form inside him, though Clara remains unaware she is no longer unseen. Clara sits in the dark room long after her tears dry. Her chest still aches, but in the silence, a memory surfaces. Her mother's voice, soft yet firm, echoing from years ago. "Never let kindness die in you." The words rise above the noise of her despair, carrying a weight stronger than the cruelty she faces. Clara wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, breath trembling but steadying. She sits straighter, forcing her shoulders back. The doubt remains, but the memory gives her something to cling to. She tells herself aloud, voice hoarse, "I'll go back tomorrow." It is not courage without fear, but persistence in spite of it. She gathers her apron, folds it neatly, and holds it like a shield. Her resolve is fragile, but it exists, and that alone is enough to carry her through one more day. Clara chooses not to quit. The morning shift arrives. The diner is quiet, only a handful of customers scattered across the booths. Clara greets each one with a tired but genuine smile, placing cups of coffee with steady hands. She carries herself as though yesterday's tears never happened. Behind the counter, Denise leans toward Troy, whispering, "Let's see how long she lasts." Her smirk is sharp, her words dripping with contempt. Troy chuckles, shaking his head. At a nearby booth, the man in the worn coat sits with his coffee untouched. He hears every word, his jaw tightening. Slowly, he lifts the mug and drinks, then places it back down with deliberate force, the sound echoing louder than expected. For the first time, his silence feels pointed a quiet warning in itself. Clara doesn't notice, too focused on her work. But something in the room has shifted. Harlan's patience is beginning to fray. By evening, Clara is left to close the diner alone. Denise has left early, and Troy claims a sudden sickness, leaving his apron behind. Clara wipes down each booth methodically, her body dragging but her discipline intact. The chairs scrape as she lifts them onto tables, her arms heavy. She moves slowly, but she does not stop. From the corner, the quiet man rises. He walks toward the door without a word, his coat brushing against the counter. Clara barely glances up, too drained to care. When she returns to the booth he left behind, she finds a folded piece of paper resting on the table. Her hand hesitates before picking it up. The paper feels thick, carefully pressed, unlike anything that belongs in the diner. She tucks it quickly into her apron, heart beating faster. She does not open it yet. She only knows it means something. When the last table is cleared, Clara finally pulls the folded paper from her apron. Her hands tremble as she opens it. Inside, just one line, written with a steady hand. "You have no idea who I am." The words strike harder than if the page were full. Her breath catches, her pulse quickens. She reads it again as if another meaning might appear. The room feels colder, the silence louder. She glances around instinctively, but no one is there. The empty booths stare back, lifeless. She presses the note shut and slips it back into her apron. Not a word leaves her lips. This is hers alone now, something she cannot explain and does not trust anyone else with. She carries the secret out into the night, unaware that it has just changed the weight of every step she takes. That night, Clara lies in bed, unable to rest. The paper is on the table beside her, folded neatly, daring her to read it again. She thinks of the man with the worn coat, the hollow eyes, the quiet presence. Who was he really? Why those words? She whispers into the dark, "Who are you? Why write this?" But no answer comes. She shakes her head, convincing herself it was only a strange thank you, nothing more. Still, her mind refuses to let go. The memory of his eyes, steady and unreadable, presses against her thoughts. She reaches for the paper, holds it tight in her fist as though it might anchor her. Slowly, exhaustion overtakes her, and she drifts into sleep with the note still clenched in her hand, its weight lingering in her dreams. Morning arrives with a surprise. The diner is busier than Clara has seen in weeks. Voices fill the booths, silverware clatters against plates, and the register rings constantly. She darts between tables, breathless but determined, moving faster than her body can manage. Denise appears polished and cheerful, her smile wide as she greets customers, her voice dripping with false warmth. To the unknowing, she looks like the perfect manager. Clara keeps her head down, pushing through the rush, but her eyes drift toward the corner out of habit. The seat is empty. The man is gone. She feels a strange hollowness in the absence, like something vital has been removed. The noise of the crowd does not cover it. She shakes the thought away, but the feeling remains, a quiet warning she cannot name. Something about the day is different. By midday, Denise's mood shifts. She gathers the servers at the counter, her voice lowered but loud enough to spread unease. "Word is, the big boss is coming," she says, her smile thin, her eyes scanning the floor. Troy stiffens, color draining from his face. He straightens his apron, suddenly busying himself with plates he had ignored all morning. His usual laziness vanishes under the weight of fear. Clara hears the words and feels her chest tighten. The thought churns in her mind, if the owner appears, Denise will expose her. Every mistake, every accusation will be twisted against her. Around them, customers sense the tension. Conversations shift. Whispers ripple through the diner, speculation feeding the air. Forks scrape slower, voices drop, eyes dart toward the door. The anticipation builds thick and heavy like a storm, waiting to break. Clara steadies her breath, but her hands tremble. The countdown has begun. The moment comes with the sound of engines outside. A line of sleek cars pulls up against the curb, their polished surfaces gleaming. Through the diner windows, heads turn as whispers grow louder. Denise nearly vibrates with excitement. "This is it," she says. Smoothing her blouse, her lips stretched into a rehearsed smile. Troy hurriedly checks his reflection in the napkin dispenser, combing his hair with frantic fingers. Clara feels her heartbeat hammering against her ribs. She wipes her palms on her apron, unable to shake the fear that her job is already lost. The door handle rattles. Every eye in the diner fixes on the entrance. A hush falls, the clatter of dishes silenced. The door swings open and a figure steps out of the lead car. The shape is familiar though, dressed differently, and the weight of recognition presses down before the truth arrives. The figure walks inside. It is the man who once sat alone in the corner, coat-torn hands rough. Now he pulls that same coat from his shoulders and drops it across a chair. Beneath it, a tailored suit gleams, the lines sharp, the fabric rich. Gasps break out across the room. Denise's jaw falls open. Troy freezes mid-step, a tray balanced awkwardly in his hands. Clara stands rooted, her breath caught in her throat. The man straightens, his presence suddenly larger, commanding. For the first time he speaks with clarity, his voice steady and undeniable. "My name is Harlan Pierce." The name hangs in the air like a verdict. The once-forgotten stranger is no stranger at all. He is the man with power, the one everyone feared and speculated about. The mask has been lifted, and nothing in the diner feels the same anymore. The room holds its breath as Harlan removes the last trace of disguise. His voice is steady, resonant. "I am the owner of this diner. And not just this one, several more across the state." His gaze sweeps over the stunned faces, then fixes on Clara. His eyes, once hidden in shadow, now cut through the noise with unsettling clarity. Clara cannot look away. Her chest tightens as questions flood her mind, but no words reach her lips. Denise trembles at the counter, her confidence evaporating. Troy steps back as though distance could shield him from what is coming. Around them, customers murmur in disbelief, some whispering the name Harlan Pierce as if repeating it will make sense of the revelation. The man they dismissed as a beggar is the man who holds their futures. The contradiction shocks everyone, twisting the ground beneath their feet. Harlan reaches into a sleek leather folder and draws out a stack of papers. He lays them on the counter with deliberate care. "I have been here for days," he says slowly, his tone leaving no space for denial. His eyes flicker once toward Denise, who wipes sweat from her brow, her lips twitching with nerves. She steals a glance at Troy, searching for reassurance, but finding none. Clara's pulse quickens. She remembers the note in her apron pocket, the words etched in her mind. "You have no idea who I am." Now, the meaning slices through her with terrifying clarity. Harlan opens the folder page by page, his movements deliberate, his silence stretching the moment. The room leans forward in unison, waiting. Each second grows heavier, every tick of the clock sharper. Suspense coils tighter, and no one dares to interrupt. Finally, Harlan begins to read. His voice is sharp, each word cutting clean. Denise Marlowe misuse of authority, blaming employees for failures not their own. Intimidation consistent and deliberate. Denise gasps, shaking her head violently. "That's not true," she blurts, desperation cracking her tone. But Harlan continues unmoved. Troy Geller, dishonesty, stealing tips, abandoning duties, exploiting colleagues. Troy lowers his head, color draining from his face. His hands tremble against the tray he clutches, the smirk that once followed him now gone. The diner erupts in whispers, customers trading shocked looks, some nodding knowingly as if the truth confirms their suspicions. Clara stands frozen, her breath shallow. For the first time, the cruelty she endured is named aloud. For the first time, those who tormented her are exposed. The balance of power tilts. Justice begins to take shape, and the crowd can feel it. Denise collapses under the weight of his words. She steps forward, hands shaking, her voice breaking. "I only did it for the diner, to keep it alive." Her plea spills out in desperation, but Harlan's eyes remain cold. He answers without hesitation, his tone cutting clean through her defense. "For the diner or for yourself?" The question lands heavier than an accusation, stripping away her excuse. The crowd stirs, heads nodding, whispers sharp. The facade Denise built over years crumbles in seconds. Troy stays silent, hoping the focus will not return to him. Clara stands still, her body tense, her hands trembling at her sides. She can hardly process what she is witnessing, yet the fear that her name might surface next locks her throat shut. The room waits with her, breath held. Anticipation peaks. No one knows where Harlan's judgment will land next. Harlan turns his gaze, leaving Denise and settling on Clara. The shift is immediate, drawing every pair of eyes with it. His voice lowers but grows heavier with meaning. "I lost faith in people," he begins. "I believed generosity no longer existed, that everyone took and no one gave." The room stills. "Then I met someone who gave when she had nothing left." Clara feels the air leave her lungs. Her face warms, her throat tightens, and she shakes her head, unable to deny, yet unwilling to accept the weight of his words. She hears the whispers of customers echoing, "It's her." Harlan's eyes never waver. The silence swells, pressing Clara into the center. The truth is no longer hidden. It is laid bare. She has been chosen, though she never sought it, and the world now sees what she tried to keep invisible. From his folder, Harlan withdraws a crisp contract. He places it on the counter before Clara, the sound of paper against wood louder than any voice. "I want you to take this diner," he says, "to manage it, to lead it." Clara's lips part, her words stumbling out. "Me. You can't mean me." Her disbelief echoes across the room. Denise stifles a sob, her authority slipping from her grasp. Troy stands, rigid, speechless, eyes fixed on the floor. Customers lean forward, waiting for Clara's reply, the suspense sharpening the air. She stares at the pages, the letters blurring through the haze of her tears. Her mind reels with questions: how, why, what now? But one truth is undeniable. This is real. The contract is hers to accept or refuse. For the first time, the power sits in her hands. Clara shakes her head, her voice breaking as she stammers, "I'm only a waitress. I don't know how to run anything." Her fear spills into the silence, but Harlan does not hesitate. "You've already been leading," he replies firmly. "Not with titles or paychecks, but with heart. That is real management." His words sink deep, striking a place Clara had never dared to believe existed. Her chest tightens, tears finally spilling. She covers her face with her hand, shaking as she nods. Slowly, she reaches for the contract, her fingers trembling as she pulls it toward her. The paper feels heavy but also alive with possibility. A murmur spreads through the diner, then applause breaks out, tentative at first, then swelling as every customer rises. The sound wraps around her like an embrace she has long been denied. Clara weeps openly, and for the first time she feels seen. The moment is broken only by Harlan's next words, delivered without hesitation. "Denise Marlowe. You're finished here." The sentence lands like a gavel. Denise gasps, her legs faltering, her protests dying before they form. She gathers her things in silence, eyes wide with disbelief, then flees the room she once commanded. Troy lingers, guilt etched into his face. He approaches Clara, head bowed. "I'm sorry," he mutters, voice small. Clara meets his eyes, steady and calm, and gives the faintest nod. No anger, no triumph, only release. The weight of resentment dissolves into something simpler, closure. Harlan watches this exchange, satisfaction in his gaze. Around them, the air itself feels different, as if a shadow has lifted. The diner, once heavy with tension, breathes again. Justice has been spoken, and its echo lingers in every corner of the room. Harlan steps forward, his voice softer now, but carrying even more weight. "This isn't just a diner," he says. "It's a new beginning, a chance to rebuild, to become something greater." He reaches into his pocket and places a small key in Clara's hand. It rests, their cold metal warming against her skin, heavier than its size suggests. Her fingers curl around it, trembling. The crowd rises from their seats one by one, offering words of encouragement. A young mother with 2 children grips Clara's free hand, her eyes wet. "Thank you," she whispers, as though Clara had given her more than food. Clara can no longer hold back. Tears break free as she clutches the key, overwhelmed by the sudden weight of responsibility and hope. The diner has changed hands, but more than that, it has changed meaning. It belongs to kindness now. Clara opens the refrigerator and stares at shelves lined with food. Fresh milk, vegetables, fruit, things she has not seen together in her home for months. The sight fills the small kitchen with color. She turns and notices the difference around her. The once dim apartment feels brighter, the air lighter, the weight of scarcity no longer pressing against the walls. Near the door, a new pair of shoes rests neatly on the floor. Next to them, her old ones remain torn and weary, their soles nearly split. She kneels, places the shoes side by side, and lingers over the contrast. Then her eyes lift to the photograph of her mother smiling from another time. Clara takes it in her hands, whispering softly, "I did it, Mom. I made it through." A quiet smile spreads across her face, not of triumph, but of relief. A new chapter has begun. The diner stands with a new name shining above the door, Clara's Place, a second chance. The lettering is bold, promising more than just food. A small crowd gathers outside as ribbons stretch across the entrance. Clara holds the scissors with trembling hands, Harlan steady at her side, smiling quietly. She cuts through, and the ribbon falls. Cheers erupt, spilling into laughter and applause. Light floods the diner as the doors swing open, casting warmth across the fresh paint and polished glass. Customers, old and new, step inside, voices filled with joy. For Clara, it feels unreal, like watching a dream solidify before her eyes. Harlan glances toward her, his nod saying more than words could. The diner, once heavy with despair, has been reborn. It no longer belongs to neglect. It belongs to hope, to kindness, and to her. The first wave of familiar faces fills the booths. Walter Briggs, cane in hand, approaches Clara. His eyes glisten as he grips her palm. "Your mother would be proud," he says, his voice trembling. Clara squeezes his hand gently, her throat too tight to speak. Across the room, the elderly couple who once split a plate sit side by side, smiling as though the years have turned back. Laughter ripples between them, weaving into the clatter of dishes and chatter of new customers. The diner hums with life, a rhythm it had long forgotten. Clara steps back, her vision blurred with tears, watching strangers and friends mingle under the glow of her name above the door. The sorrow, once rooted in this place, has been replaced by something sturdier, belonging. She wipes her eyes quickly, but the tears return. She is no longer surviving. She is building a home. When the diner finally quiets, Clara sits at a corner table with a scrap of paper. She writes slowly, pressing each word as though it must last. A small kindness can change an entire life. She folds it neatly and slips it into her apron pocket close to her heart. The gesture is simple, yet it feels heavier than any contract. She looks around the room, her eyes steady now, no longer shadowed by doubt. Across the floor, Harlan stands watching. He doesn't speak, only gives a single nod. Clara returns it with calm certainty. The note, hidden but carried, becomes her silent vow to lead not through power, but through kindness. The message is not for customers or staff, it is for herself, a reminder of what began it all. Later that evening, Clara steps out the front door. The sign above glows softly against the night, her name shining where none had ever been before. Harlan waits outside, his posture relaxed, his eyes fixed on her. "Are you ready?" he asks. Clara exhales, her voice unsteady but clear. "I'm afraid, but I'll give everything I have." Harlan's smile is faint, steady. "Good. The journey has only begun." The words settle between them, not heavy but full of possibility. Clara lifts her gaze, meeting his eyes. For the first time, she allows herself to smile fully without fear. Together they stand in quiet understanding, two lives altered by one moment of generosity, facing a future that neither of them can yet see, but both are willing to build. A crumpled $10 bill changed an entire life. A single resilient smile silenced injustice. One act of kindness not only saved a diner, it restored faith in people. That is the power of choosing compassion when no one expects it. You never know when the smallest gesture might rewrite a story, maybe even your own. Do you believe a simple act can change everything? Leave your answer below with just 2 words, I believe.